Imagine building your dream home only to have an HOA tyrant call the cops over a pool dispute caught entirely on tape. My lawyer flipped the script, and her meltdown was legendary. If you love jaw-dropping HOA drama, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more wild neighborhood sagas. Let's dive into this three-part tale of petty power trips and epic comeuppance. The summer sun baked the sprawling lawns of Willow Creek, a gated community where manicured hedges and gleaming mailboxes screamed suburban perfection. At the heart of the neighborhood stood a pristine, Olympic-sized pool, its turquoise water shimmering like a jewel under strict HOA oversight. For the narrator, a newcomer who'd sunk every penny into a modern two-story home on Maple Drive, that pool was the crown jewel of the move. After years of grinding in a cramped city apartment, the promise of lazy afternoons by the water felt like a well-earned reward. But the HOA, led by Karen Whitaker, had other plans. Karen, a wiry woman in her 50s, with a perm as tight as her grip on the rulebook, was the self-appointed queen of Willow Creek. Her clipboard was her scepter, her bi-weekly newsletters a decree. She patrolled the neighborhood with the zeal of a prison warden, her eagle eyes catching every misplaced trash can or unapproved flower pot. The narrator, unaware of the storm brewing, had moved in just weeks earlier, eager to settle into the community's rhythm. The pool, though, was where the trouble. The narrator's property, unlike most in Willow Creek, came with a unique perk, a private gate at the back leading directly to the pool area. It was a selling point. The realtor had emphasized a rare feature that made the house pricier but irresistible. The gate, however, was a sore spot for Karen. She'd argued at board meetings that private access undermined the HOA's control. But the previous owner, a lawyer named Harold, had ensured the gate's legality was ironclad in the property deed. The narrator, blissfully ignorant of this history, used the gate daily, strolling to the pool with a towel slung over one shoulder, nodding politely to neighbors. Karen, however, saw each use as a personal affront. Her first move came in the form of a typed letter, slipped under the narrator's door, citing unauthorized pool access and demanding the gate be sealed. The narrator, puzzled but diplomatic, replied in writing, referencing the deed and offering to discuss it at the next HOA meeting. Karen's response was silence, deafening and ominous. Days later, the narrator noticed Karen lingering near the pool, her phone raised as if snapping photos. The air grew thick with tension. Neighbors whispered about Karen's vendettas, how she'd once fined a family for a basketball hoop that was an inch too low. The narrator, determined to stay civil, installed a small security camera above the back gate, a precaution after hearing tales of Karen's wrath. It was a wise move. One sweltering afternoon, as the narrator lounged by the pool, Karen stormed over, her face flushed with indignation. She claimed the gate violated new HOA bylaws, ones she'd conveniently pushed through without public vote. The narrator.com, but firm, pointed out the deed's explicit allowance. Karen's eyes narrowed, her lips pursing into a thin line. She left without a word, but the narrator sensed the battle was far from over. That evening, a police cruiser rolled into the driveway. Two officers, looking more annoyed than alarmed, explained they'd received a complaint about trespassing at the community pool. The narrator, stunned, showed them the deed and the gate's legal documentation. The officers, satisfied, left with a warning to sort it out with the HOA. as their taillights faded. The narrator's camera blinked quietly, capturing Karen watching from across the street. The incident left a bitter taste, but the narrator wasn't one to back down. A call to Harold, the previous owner, revealed Karen's history of bullying. Harold, now retired, but sharp as ever, offered to review the case. He confirmed the gate's legality and suggested looping in a local attorney friend, Lisa, who specialized in HOA disputes. Lisa was a pit bull in heels, her office walls lined with framed victories over petty tyrants like Karen. Meanwhile, Karen escalated her campaign. Signs appeared around the pool declaring no private access allowed in bold red letters. The narrator ignored them, using the gate as usual. Each step recorded by the camera. Karen's next move was bolder. She padlocked the gate, chaining it shut with a gleaming silver lock. The narrator, undeterred, called a locksmith who removed it in minutes, all while the camera rolled. Neighbors began to take sides. Some admired the narrator's defiance, others feared Karen's wrath. The tension simmered, a neighborhood divided by one woman's obsession with control. By the chapter's end, the narrator sat with Lisa, reviewing footage that showed Karen's every move, her photos, her signs, her padlock. The stage was set for a showdown, and the narrator was ready to fight fire with fire. The war over the gate reached a boiling point as summer dragged on. The pool, now a battleground for Willow Creek's soul. Karen's crusade grew relentless. She flooded the HOA's online forum with posts accusing the narrator of endangering community standards, and rallied a small but vocal group of loyalists who parroted her complaints at meetings. The narrator, backed by Lisa's legal expertise, attended every session, armed with the deed and a growing file of evidence. The security camera had become their secret weapon, capturing Karen's escalating antics. One clip showed her measuring the gate's hinges with a ruler at dawn. Another caught her taping a new violation notice to the narrator's door under cover of night. Lisa, grinning like a chess master, called the footage a goldmine. She advised patience, letting Karen dig her own grave. The narrator, though frustrated, agreed, sensing the tide turning. Neighbors who'd once ducked Karen's gaze now whispered support, tired of her reign. One elderly resident, Mrs. Patel, slipped the narrator a note. "Keep fighting. She's done this for years." Karen's next escalation was her boldest yet. One morning, the narrator found the gate not just locked, but boarded up with plywood, screws drilled deep into the frame. A handwritten note, unmistakably, Karen cited. Furious but strategic, the narrator called Lisa, who arrived with a contractor to remove the boards. The camera caught it all. Karen hovering nearby, her phone out, likely hoping to catch the narrator in a misstep. Instead, she recorded her own downfall. Lisa filed a formal complaint with the HOA board, citing harassment and property damage, and requested an emergency meeting. Karen, blindsided, doubled down, emailing the entire neighborhood a manifesto about protecting community values. But her grip was slipping. At the meeting, Lisa presented the footage, each clip a nail in Karen's coffin. The board, a mix of spineless enablers and fed-up newcomers, squirmed as Karen's actions played on a projector. Her sneaking, her padlocks, her plywood. The narrator watched Karen's face drain of color, her authority crumbling under the weight of her own obsession. Karen's unraveling was swift and spectacular. She stormed out of the meeting, vowing to sue, but Lisa was ready. She'd already sent a cease and desist letter, citing Karen's violations of state property laws and HOA bylaws. The narrator, emboldened, posted a summary of the saga on the community forum, careful to stick to facts backed by footage. The response was overwhelming. Neighbors shared their own Karen horror stories, from fines for unapproved mailboxes to threats over lawn ornaments. The board, under pressure, voted to remove Karen as president. Her loyalists, too cowed to object. But Karen wasn't done. In a final act of defiance, she called the police again, claiming the narrator had vandalized the pool area by removing her boards. The same officers returned, now visibly exasperated. Lisa greeted them with a tablet playing the footage of Karen's plywood stunt. The officers, shaking their heads, warned Karen about false reports. She stood frozen, her empire in ruins. The narrator, though victorious, felt a pang of pity. Karen's obsession had cost her everything. By the chapter's end, the gate stood open, the pool sparkling under a setting sun, but the neighborhood buzzed with the fallout of Karen's collapse. The dust settled slowly in Willow Creek, the pool once again a place of peace rather than power plays. The narrator, now a reluctant hero, became the neighborhood's unofficial guardian, their gate a symbol of resistance. Karen vanished from public view, her house listed for sale within weeks. Rumors swirled she'd moved to another state, chasing a new HOA to terrorize. The board, chastened, rewrote bylaws to limit presidential power, and Mrs. Patel took over as interim chair, her non-incense warmth a stark contrast to Karen's reign. The narrator's camera stayed up, a quiet reminder of the battle won. Lisa, ever the strategist, ensured the footage was archived, a deterrent against future Karens. The neighborhood healed, but the scars of division lingered, a cautionary tale of petty tyranny and the power of standing firm. As the narrator floated in the pool, the water cooled against their skin. They reflected on the cost of peace and the value of a good lawyer. If you enjoyed this wild ride, smash that like button, subscribe, and share your own HOA horror stories in the comments. Hit the bell so you never miss a tale of neighborhood drama. Until next time, stay vigilant and keep your cameras rolling.